Stocks, bonds, equities. There are a lot of terms being thrown around when it comes to finances, and it can be a lot to keep up with, especially when you're trying to grow your own financial status.
So get your pen and paper ready, or start DVRing. We're going to explain some of those terms to make your money marketing a little easier. We're joined again by certified financial planner Will Rogers and Baxter to talk about the different types of investments that many of us have heard of. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be here, and I'm always surprised how many folks just have never been taught the basic financial terms, and they'll nod their head and, well, yes, I know what this is. And so today we're just going right down to the basics, and so everybody can understand, oh, what is the financial tools that we can use.
Just like me, deer in the headlights when you say some of these words. So what are the main topics we're going to go over today?
So we're going to look first at bond investments, then stocks. We're going to talk about mutual funds, and exchange traded funds will be the main ones that we're going to end up looking at. So again, there's just what is a bond, what is a stock, come together for a mutual fund, and then an exchange traded fund.
Okay.
Now, what should people know about investing in bonds?
So as they're investing in bonds, this is where you're loaning money to the company. It's a fixed income or debt instrument, and you might loan it to a company or a government body like Richmond County or Columbia County or what have you, and you're just going to receive interest. So if the company does well or poorly, it doesn't impact what you're getting. You're just going to get that interest, but there is risk with bonds. With the bonds, the company might go bankrupt and not pay you back. Interest rates might change. There's market risk in the bond market, but they're especially exposed to inflation risk and liquidity risk. So as we're looking at that, those are some of the risks that are part of bonds.
Real quick, explain liquidity.
So liquidity is if you want to sell something, but nobody wants to buy it. So the real estate is the most common example where it's like, I want to sell my house, but interest rates are high and there's not a lot of buyers out there. So liquidity is when you're just not able to sell something.
Okay, so like liquidation sales and what have you.
Yeah. Correct.
Something like that. Okay. How about investing in stocks?
So with stocks, now you're going to be an owner of the company, and that's why they call it an equity investment. So if the company does well, you might get those dividends, which is just future profits from that company, and you've got the future growth of that stock price. But stocks have some different risks. So you've got the company risk. If the company were to go bankrupt, you've got the market risk where if the market were to go up or down, you can have some industry risks. So the technology sector has been hit pretty hard this year. And again, there can still be that liquidity risk that we talked about before, where if you're trying to sell it, but nobody wants to buy what you've got to sell, that can be a risk.
Okay.
Now, we talked about investments. Now, Will, what is a mutual fund?
So a mutual fund is a way that you can pool your resources with a lot of other people to purchase a collection of stocks or bonds or both. So you'll have a professional fund manager that's buying them, and that professional management can give you the diversification and a solid portfolio. One of the things that is nice about this is you can get a big portfolio for small money, but a downside of mutual funds is they're only traded at the end of the day. So if the market's having some big movements, you're just going to end up with what you have at the end of the day. And again, you do have the market risk. You've got lack of control. You've got the fund manager making the decisions for you, and they may have taxable distributions that come out at you, and you might have some higher fees in a mutual fund.
Okay. Now, the dreaded abbreviations here, ETFs. What are we talking about?
A lot of folks are talking about ETFs. They've become in vogue. It's an exchange-traded fund. So it's very similar to a mutual fund. It's a pool of securities, could be stocks, bonds, or combined, but it's traded, hence the name, exchange-traded fund. It's traded during the market hours. So if there's movement at 10 o'clock and you want to get in or out, you can do that with an exchange-traded fund. Okay. They're usually passive, so they're not going to have a manager. They're just buying an index of funds. They're often much more tax efficient than mutual funds, but they're still going to have the market risk, and you can have some concentration risk with ETFs. So you might just be buying the tech sector, and because of that, you've got a lot of risk where you should know what you're doing when you're buying them. But these are ETFs are much more the scalpels, where the mutual funds are much more often the axis for going in and doing stuff.
Now, Will, we covered a good bit here. Is there one of the investments that we've talked about that's better than the others?
These are all tools. So if you need a scalpel, you want a scalpel. If you need an axe, you get an axe. Just know what you're getting when you get them. You know, bonds have done some of the best year to date, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be the best long-term investment. They had some very bad years not too long ago. Have your right asset allocation and look at your time frame. If you need money in the next year, you should never be in the market for money that you're going to need within 12 months. That should be in cash and something safe. But if you're looking at investments for 3, 5, 15 years down the road, then pick the combination that's right for you.
All right, and I'm sure a lot of people are looking at their finances right now, wondering how they can make them bigger. So learn these terms. It's very vital for you. Well, appreciate it much. Great stuff. What are we going over next week?
Next week, we're going to be talking about inflation and just, dealing with persistent inflation and what's going on. Housing's a big driver of that. And so what can we do to just deal with these high prices?
All right, great. Appreciate it, Will. Thanks for joining us. And Baxter.
Yeah.
Okay, coming up.